most of this gets deleted. I keep the embarrassing. Yeah. So I wait until somebody picks their nose or something.
Yeah, like, and we'll start from there.
Primarily Critical.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primarily Critical. If movies had an after party, this would be it.
If you have not seen this film, and it has been nearly 30 years, we suggest that you do so before listening any further.
We got spoilers, trivia, opinions galore. We can't wait to share them all.
Good, bad, old, new, weird, or gross.
We pass judgment on them all.
Today, worst cruise ship ever. My name is Steve. I'm here with
Christian.
And
Great.
Today we're covering Fifth Element.
I was going to suggest Die Hard in Space.
I also had
No, too Christmassy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on to Floston, have a few laughs.
the most powerful force in the universe is a sexy lady, ? But I don't know. I went with worst cruise ship ever because, quite honestly, if I was on that cruise, even though it looked spectacular, that would be a bad experience.
The bomb maybe 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to abandon ship. It was really bad. Yeah.
Most people got off.
True. Especially that one airline attendant. Yes. This was a fun fest for me way back in the day. You know, I really liked Fifth Element. It was space battles and everything else. But
Weird monsters and stupid hats.
yeah, there was one big issue that I see why they never made any sequels. Was the bad guy is a ball of evil. I mean, how do you do that? How do you do that times number 2, right?
Because it comes back every 5,000 years. I mean, that was established early in the story.
No, I understand that Luc Besson brainstormed this for a long time.
Yeah, his whole life.
His whole life. He was in school drawing pictures of this shit when he was a kid. And and you could see that. The police had a very specific look, right? They had things that were covering their eyes, a big light, and
So you could tell they were cops. Still donuts and coffee.
McDonald's.
McDonald's, yeah.
That's right. And you remember the Chinese restaurant that visited Corbin at his house?
Yeah.
He had this boat,
Food trucks.
a food truck boat,
Okay.
and he had this tire that he would throw over the side.
Yeah, so it would rub
against the side of the building. I thought that was so brilliant.
Chinese junk.
Yeah.
They're actually called junks.
Are they?
The boat. Yeah.
Oh man, but
Okay.
but it was in the future, right?
Yeah.
And it was a flying one, and it's smacked of somebody thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing. It was a good thing. He's done other things. Luc Besson has done other things like the City at the End of the Universe or something like that. City of a Thousand Planets.
Valerian.
That's right. And that wasn't nearly as good. I think it was the main cast. Right, that we had a problem with the main cast. We've done that. Go back into our archives and check it out. Fifth Element. I'm doing a lot of talking. What did you think, Christian?
I've watched this movie a lot, and this is the first time that I watched it a little more carefully with the intent of asking some questions. And I found some flaws, and I found a really, really bad fatal flaw. Well, let's start with why didn't who are the good aliens?
The good.
Oh yeah, the big guys.
The Bangalores are the bad guys, and the somethings were the good guys. Anyway,
the key givers.
yeah,
That's not.
they mind melt whatever the professor and he falls down. Why didn't they mind melt 90210 when he had the gun?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah.
Instead of having that
Luke
whole
Perry instead of
crushing.
crushing the hand off. Anyway, and here's the major flaw I found in this watching. Lilu is super torqued by the events that humans prosecute in war. Right? It devastates her.
Yeah.
She is literally a weapon.
Yes.
In a 5,000-year cyclical war against the ultimate evil. Why is she so upset about what humans get up to?
I don't know.
In about 2,000 years is what she watched.
Well, she goes through the encyclopedia, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they do it. She goes and hits every letter.
Yeah, every
and
letter at eight is
right
A
at
to
the
Z.
end, it becomes that W, right? And I guess that's the thing. She's relearning because of the way she got atomized and then was it atomized? I don't know.
Well, she got blown up in that
Blown up and then
in a spaceship.
So I assume she was in stasis before. So
Yeah.
they're like restarting.
But they
She
pulled
has
her.
that kind of like not little kid because that's the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah, the naive way.
Innocent, naive.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
But she's been in stasis for 5,000 years because that's what the carving
Mhm.
spoke of, and it's happened once before that they've used this ultimate weapon,
Mhm.
and you know God, I forget the race.
The good guys.
The good guys. The good guys were like, we'll be back in 5,000 years. We will return.
Mhm.
300 years because that's the next 5,000 year cycle.
Yeah.
That's like-
They said war is coming. We're gonna take this now, and I'm pretty sure they were talking about.
The stones and her as the pieces of the weapon.
they
It was
did.
World War II. They were thinking that World War II was going to come and destroy this.
Oh,
Well, they separated them so that the stones were kept here. No, yeah, you're right. They did take them both. My bad.
So they said all this. They said World War II war is coming. We're going to take the stones. We'll come back into it 300 years when the great evil returns.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. But okay, here's a fun thing to talk about. Okay, so in the first clash, the good aliens crash on the planet. The bad aliens come and they take the box and they take it to Zorg. And Zorg opens it and the box is empty. He's like, "Oh my god!" And then later on in the movie, they raid the room of the opera singer, and they take this ornate box, and they go through all this trouble. And Zorg takes the box again, but he doesn't check inside of it. And he goes back to his ship and he sets the bomb and everything's cool. Then he opens it and he's like, "Oh my god, the box is empty." And he laughs to himself maniacally because he's going insane. That was so sadly believable.
yeah.
It was sadly
Yeah.
believable.
The super genius evil villain makes the same mistake, the exact same mistake
twice.
twice. Yeah.
And it really added to the movie.
Yeah. It made. I mean, Gary Oldman was great,
Yes.
but it made him so believable to be such a he chokes on a cherry,
Yes.
like such a fallible villain, but
Yeah.
super powerful. Like he's like a fire 1 million people, and it just happens. Right, the next day, Corbin Dallas gets fired by his taxi company.
You've been fired.
You're fired.
Yeah. He received physical mail though. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's like
No, but he even goes on to explain that whole process, the whole villain process of like, look,
yeah,
and then
smash the glass.
smashes the glass, and everybody comes out and does all the cool
all
stuff.
this activity and all these people who made these robots are employed and keep on.
Feeding their family. And
But
making
of
babies.
course, that's not the point that you're supposed to take away. You're supposed to take away the priest's point.
Yeah.
Your horrible empire crashes down because of a
Oh,
cherry.
man.
Cherry.
Zorg was his full name was
Jean Baptiste Emmanuel.
Emmanuel Zorg.
So, yes.
That's very French European. They just keep adding names to their family history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Kind of Jean Baptiste and Emmanuel seem very different. I also noticed very clearly that there was no way to confuse any of the characters. They all had a very distinct look.
Yeah.
Even Chris Tucker, who had different looks throughout the movie, you could tell immediately
Yeah.
who you were looking at and why they were there. The cruise ship had a security
Detail, and
that
they're
were-
all dressed in like stupid little short shorts.
Soccer shorts.
Yeah.
They were all in like sailor uniforms.
Yeah.
With short shorts.
Toit.
Toit.
Oh, man.
I do love that, and I love it every time I see it. There's a point where Corbin Dallas being talked to by Ruby Rod, and he looks up at Ruby Rod's tube of hair. It's just a brief, like just a little look at it, and I love that every time.
Oh man, it was great. It was great. The cast was just amazing. They really embraced the roles that they were given.
Yeah. It was definitely a fun movie that when you watch it for fun and then you kind of sit down and pick it apart, and it's still
pretty good. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is a bit campy. It's funny.
And Corbin Dallas
good way,
is a little underplayed, but it works for the movie as it's orbited by all these crazy characters.
But I think that was half the fun. Like, all the characters were crazy. Like, even the president,
Yes.
he's not what you picture in a president. Like, well, I mean, whatever. Maybe not now, but back then,
What do you
for
mean?
like he's the big bodybuilder or whatever. I mean, yeah, we've had Schwarzenegger, but
he was only Governor.
Governor, that's different. But the presidents are always, kind of like well dressed, book smart, not imposing physically in that sense.
Well, this president takes his shoes off and smacks cockroaches.
Yeah, exactly. Right, like. So I think they're all kind of.
Yeah, he's also got like short answers.
Yeah.
Like, and he's very, very. He immediately makes decisions, which I kind of like about that. He'll make short decisions based on the information he has, and that's it, right? And nobody questions it.
Decisive, yeah. So I mean, in that respect, yes, he's exactly what you expect. But on first appearance, like most of the characters, you're just like, you got to tilt your head a little bit, but very good.
Yeah.
I love the guy with the meth head or whatever, the drug addict who's like, give me the kush.
Oh yeah,
just can't. Yeah, and Bruce Willis is he's been under fire, secret agent, not secret agent, like he's special forces or whatever. He's been through this so many times.
Yeah.
He's just like, no. He can talk. He gets a gun put in his face like 4 or 5 times in the movie, and it's just always whatever. Yeah.
Well, and he has a collection.
Yeah.
Right. Like
he
takes it off.
He has
that
a very
guy,
limited amount of
and then-
space in his apartment, and one of the things he dedicates it to is this entire rack of various guns
that he's obviously taken from a bunch of meth heads.
Yeah, meth heads.
Yeah, he had a really nice hat though.
That was a really great hat.
Yeah. I wonder if it was switchable. And, like the hat takes pictures of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the future hat, but this is before selfies. But I always thought wrong answer. That Corbin Dallas's apartment was attached to his garage, but I realize now that he had to go outside and go to where the taxi was, and that's why he kept having to interact with meth heads. Because, but he's got a window that opens out on the cityscape.
Yeah.
So he can get his Thai food or his Chinese food or
that's true. Right at window service.
Window service, yeah.
It was really neat how he kind of had like his coffin apartment, right?
Yeah. Nice place. The bed is also a drawer, and the toilet or the shower is also your sink and your fridge.
That's right. It kind of goes up and down.
So the apartment is very cramped this way, but there's obviously space above, right, where all these things slot into. Mm-hmm. That's where the cab should be, is up above.
It reminded me of an RV.
Yeah, small space.
Or a tiny home.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have a...
You got to take the thing out that you're using and then put it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the coffee machine, he clicks it magnetically holds the coffee carafe because he doesn't even have a table to put his coffee pot on.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I know in the beginning we find out that Corbin is recently divorced.
Yeah,
and his wife
ran away
with
his
lawyer, and he's also kicking his own ass because he falls in love too easily, or something like that. Does anyone remember? And then of course he falls for Lilu,
who tore a hole in the roof of his cab.
Escapes and dives through and ends up in his cab.
Is there any holes in that? Because I mean, I don't know. Because it takes him all the way to the end of the movie to confess his love.
Yeah.
No.
It was
damsels in distress.
It was a movie
kind of
story
thing,
time love, but she can't exist without love, and he's reluctant to give it, and they've known each other for 16 hours total.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
a
right.
day or two.
He spent 30% of that asleep.
Whirlwind romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that. Like he won a contest, tickets for 2 to this cruise ship in space. Everywhere he goes, it's just him and Ruby Rod. The two for 2
Yeah.
is left behind, and there's never a consideration for her.
That's true.
That's right.
Never around.
You have front row seats. How many front row seats? Just the one. Ruby Rod's sitting next to you. What about my pseudo wife? The one.
What about my +1?
What about my +1? No, she stays in the hotel room.
Well, she didn't win the contest.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But then again, she's technically the heroine.
Yeah.
He's the supporting cast, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
she
she's
goes
got
and
a-
she just kicks a bunch of butt.
She has to kick ass in the Diva's hotel room, but
Yeah.
but
They didn't know
why
that.
wasn't she at the opera thing? There was no there wasn't a seat beside her that was beside Corbin that was free. No.
No, you're
No,
absolutely
that's
right.
true.
You're
Okay.
absolutely right.
Another plot hole. Terrible.
I like that. He tried to kiss. He kissed her right when she was
Yeah.
unconscious,
And he-
and he came away with a gun to his head.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's like, no,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
bad. That was bad. And even later on in the
Yeah.
movie, he's like, I never should have kissed her
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's
See,
apparently
they
abuse.
address-
It's abuse.
They addressed so many things before. You know, you got your skip the dishes or Uber coming up to your house.
Yeah.
The Me Too movement before it happens there. Everything, you know, like
It's all there.
it's all
Your
done.
your despotic single company that owns
Yeah.
all weapons, all taxis, all every other
Yeah. It's like Amazon, right? You know.
yeah.
Yep.
And then the corrupt military that fixes a contest to get their
That never happens.
yeah they don't have spaceships of their own. They can't deliver a guy to a cruise ship. And
Should we get into this trivia?
sure.
Okay.
All right. The explosion in the Floston main hall. This is the one where he has
It's
that
the hand grenade.
sticky bomb.
Yeah,
It's got
yeah.
those rubbery spikes on it. Is the largest indoor explosion ever filmed. The resulting fire almost went beyond control. It took 25 minutes to put it out.
Oh boy.
Yeah, when I saw it
That
this
was
time, I
big.
was like, "That's a big fire." And spaceship fires are kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Like you have to deal with them
fire in space bad.
rapidly, and I mean, even a fire on a cruise ship, if it was just a water cruise ship, is a big deal, and that's a really big fire.
That was.
Mhm.
And there aren't sprinklers or things, and
Yeah,
nobody
it was-
moves immediately to put that out.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
It was spectacular, and that's.
It was a big hand grenade.
I don't even remember it being that necessary to the story.
It killed 3 bad guys that were on the balcony above.
They were
Yeah.
going to get him with the because they were under the pool
Pool table.
pool table. Yeah, the billiard table.
I think the dude in charge of the explosion
The scream counting.
got
Got out of hand.
he got
Yeah.
excited. Yeah,
Yeah.
he got really excited about it.
I have how much budget?
How much money to do
Yeah.
And how many more explosions are there in
How
this
mu-
movie? Just the one.
Just the one.
this? Stand back, ladies and gentlemen.
This is where I make my mark.
Yeah, somebody divided they were like, how much do we need for pyro? Oh, let's just give him $20,000 or $20 million or whatever. Like, and they made a mistake because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
only gave him one explosion.
And they gave him one too many with zeros. or
Yeah, and all the
something
other
like that.
explosions were digital. That was the only practical one. So, yeah,
I better use all this money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
otherwise
Use it or lose it, right? Like it's gonna go to something else. I want it for pyro.
Oh man,
Boom.
that's hilarious. Oh, I can so see that happening. Who's got the next piece of trivia?
Over there.
I'll get this one. Luc Besson demanded that most of the action shots in the movie take place in broad daylight, as he was reportedly tired of the dark spaceship corridors and dimly lit planets common in science fiction movies. He wanted a brighter, cheerfully crazy look as opposed to a gloomy, realistic one, and I did appreciate that because I'm tired of watching Underworld, which is blue and gray.
Yes, and that's it.
And that's it.
I
Yeah.
just like the quotes of cheerfully crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to the movie in general.
It
yes.
really does.
Yeah,
And that's true in the
everything
in
pops,
City
right?
of a
Like
Thousand
all the
Planets,
colors,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. At the time, it was the most expensive movie ever produced outside of Hollywood. Most expensive production in Gaumond's history, and at 80 million USD. The visual effects budget of the movie was the highest of its time.
It showed. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. They went all out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, they did blow up. They blew up that corridor when the warrior pushed the little red button.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
so I wonder if
Yeah,
that was
that's
practical as
two
well. So
bumps,
two
yeah.
two bumps he had.
two bumps.
That was also a very big explosion.
that was also a big one.
But the bad guy leader survived.
In his defense, didn't he say a true warrior would have
Yeah,
asked?
would
about the
immediately
red
ask about the little red button on the bottom.
button?
Something I really thought was interesting. when Corbin Dallas and when everyone's leaving on the spaceship to go to the cruise ship, because there's Earth, the spaceship, and then the cruise ship, 3 different places.
Yeah.
There's a pre-flight ritual, and they put money into this, and it was really interesting how they had this team of people with a flamethrower blasting aliens
Parasites,
that were attached to the bottom of the ship, and they had a fuel cell that they pulled out of the ship.
Yeah, two stoner hippie Rastaman.
Rastaman.
Yeah.
Loading the radioactive fuel.
Bringing
Yeah.
the heat.
And none of that needed to be there, but they did it.
Yeah, but it gave you a look at this world, which is futuristic, but also crap.
Yeah,
You know?
I really like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if you were a ground crew, if you could, like, if that said something to you, you know, if you worked on a tarmac or
Oh yeah,
something. You'd be like,
you always
yeah.
smell like jet fuel.
Yeah, you know.
You always work in the worst weather.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Everyone's riding in style, and you gotta like
Yeah. All these
Do the
people are
heavy
headed off
lifting.
to Hawaii, and you're
yeah,
you're slinging bags in a minus 40 blizzard.
yeah.
Luc Besson wrote the original screenplay when he was in high school. Now, we touched on this before. He had conceived the story of this movie and met the world of the movie as a child so he could escape his lonely childhood. Aw.
Aw.
He began writing the script when he was 16, though it was not released in theaters until he was 38.
Wow.
It's a two-decade waiting period.
Well, you gotta put down your, you know, do
Yeah,
your time,
do your
get
time.
in there.
Yeah, production
Convince-
assistant, extra.
Yeah.
or- Then you get a production credit.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming up next week.
Oh, yeah. Next week, Monday at noon, we're covering
Littering and
Super Troopers 2. This was picked by you.
Yeah.
Why did you pick it?
Because it was sort of inspired by the Bon Cop, Bad Cop 2 that I took too long to watch. And I'm like, there was that other movie I wanted to watch. They made it 15 years after the first one. Oh, yeah, Super Troopers. Let's watch that.
Let's watch that. Yeah. Now I can't wait to talk about it. We haven't covered the original one, actually, but we're jumping right into the second one.
Yep.
Reminds me of the time we did Sister Act 2. But that was ages ago. Go back to the archives. Check it out, primarylycritical.com. We got a nice link down there for our Discord if you want to join the conversation. We're all there, you know. Whether
Chitty chat.
we can chitty chat about movies and what you think of us. Don't be too honest.
Sugarcoat it. Sugarcoat.
I'm a sensitive man. I can't wait to talk about Super Troopers next week, Monday at noon.